Hi, this is Karen Miller with BillingsWorks, workforce development program with Big Sky Economic Development, and this is another episode of your Employee Engagement Through Change mini-series. I am once again with Zen Perry and Karen Gross, and we have two of my homies to talk about employee engagement today. We have the Director of Operations at Big Sky Economic Development, Becky Rogers, and our admin operations, oh my gosh, Steve's right hand, like everybody's go-to fun dude who keeps everybody smiling and happy and operating. Awesome. Is that what's on your business card, Austin? Did I like capture that?
Yeah, I have to give people two of them at a time.
Austin Trunkle is with us as well. And so Becky and Austin, thanks for being here. We really wanted to bring in leaders in our community who are working with their team to keep them productive and engaged and sane during this time of change. So we're fascinated to hear from you what you are doing with the Big Sky Economic Development team. And so Becky, if we could turn it over to you first, that would be great.
Oh, sure thing. I'm sure like all other organizations, the minute that we all moved into a remote workforce, we began scouring the internet for guides and help of how do we do this well, and how do we not lose the things we value, like how we communicate, how we connect as a team, and how we collaborate as a team. So we took all that into immediate consideration, and one of the first things that we decided to do right away was we wanted more communication, because we learned through times of crisis you need to up your communication, and people, it builds trust when they hear from you more and can hear the transparency of everything going on. So the first thing we did was create a second weekly check-in for the team. Now that can be tricky because it can be just like another meeting, and nobody needs another meeting. So we were really intentional about what we were doing with that check-in. First of all, we want to, you know, in the beginning when things were changing hour by hour, the situations were, we wanted to make sure we gave the team a chance to communicate to each other with updates. But in addition, we wanted to have it be a moment where we could just pause and connect. And that's actually been my favorite piece of it. We instituted what we call sharing time. So go back to kindergarten. That was my favorite day of kindergarten, when you got to bring something from home and share it with everyone else. And so like in the beginning, the first week we did apples and onions, and that's something I do with my teenagers at home in the evening, where we got to unpack a little bit, you know, what was kind of nice about this new situation, but what also really stunk about the new situation, and kind of commiserate together. Well, I found that really enjoyable. But now it's taken on this new life thanks to this team that Austin is leading, where now it has these fun weekly themes. And so two of my favorite, last week we did our senior pictures, and we shared our senior pictures with everyone, and that was fantastic, wasn't it? Karen, you were so cute. And Austin, I didn't even recognize Austin. But then just this morning, we did share your photos of supporting local, and we shared pictures of the efforts we've made recently. And that was so fun to see where people were helping each other. So I've actually really enjoyed that and would recommend that as a great, easy first step to help safeguard those things you value as a team. But secondly, we created this internal group that was focused specifically on safeguarding the wellness, the health and wellness of our team. And that group is led by Austin. So it'd be really fun to hear from Austin some of the things they're doing.
Yeah, thanks, Becky. So the internal response team kind of handed down, hey, we want Karen Miller, we want Patrick Klugman, Marcel Brusky, and myself to kind of come up with 3 things we want to maintain as we move into remote work. And the first of those things was remaining engaged with one another as we all split apart. So like Becky alluded to already, through the Thursday check-ins, we'll also ask them, hey, how's your mental health? Like, how has the transition been? In the first couple of weeks, we really wanted to address that. But then additionally, we also started once a week on Wednesdays at noon. If you're able, we broke everybody into teams, and you have a Grubbin and Gavin lunch. So we all kind of randomly assign teams, and we sit down during that time at lunch, and we have that interpersonal connection that we miss from being in the office, kind of that water cooler talk, shoot the breeze kind of thing. And those have been super fun. I've really enjoyed that, and I've learned a lot about my teammates. what their day-to-day kind of looks like, or what their stressors are right now, or what they're enjoying right now. So that's been really, really rewarding, actually, to be a part of that. Another thing, and Becky, maybe you can jump in too and help me, but we really wanted to, we wanted people to be hyper aware of their mental health during this time. And with all the changes, and with as kind of nervous as this whole time is, really check in and make sure you're doing all right. Our work plans have changed, our environments have changed. So Becky, I think, is it the EAP that we ended up signing?
Yeah, we went ahead and signed up for an employee assistance program, which for those of you who are new to that, that's where they provide work-life resources like legal counseling, financial counseling, but they also provide free counseling services. We were having a discussion this morning that the effects of this may not, even though some people may see an increased level of anxiety, it may take a full 6 months for them to truly understand how this is impacting them. And so we put a resource in place that for the next year and maybe beyond, where we're kind of testing how we like it, we have something that they can have immediate access to help should they need it.
Yeah, and it's been, oh, sorry, Austin, I didn't mean to cut you off, but that has been great just to have that resource for us. So I know from firsthand experience, you have done amazing work. What questions, do you have a question for Karen Gross and or Zen, or a challenge that you could pose to these two experts?
Yes, I love asking experts. Okay, we do have a challenge. We are anticipating adding a team member over the next couple of months. I don't anticipate that life will be back to normal in the office when this person comes on. What guidance and direction do you have for us as we bring someone on new during this time?
I'm so excited to hear that your team is growing. And I've worked with a couple of teams actually who have added people during this, that their first day was exactly what you guys experienced of, in-house and not with people. So I think what you're doing already with your Grubbin and Hubbin is such a great way to pull people into that. But the other thing that I would suggest is that you take one of your team traditions and introduce that to your new team member immediately, so that they understand this is who we are, this is what we do, and make sure that they feel included, so that there's not that inside joke. Just make sure that they understand what that is, as well as pair them up with people who have experience in your organization with working with new people, because those are the ones who are going to be the very most strong in getting them introduced into your setting. So I'd be sure that they have a buddy, just like, with your sharing day, they need to have a buddy like we used to have, when we were in Girl Scouts and out on a hike. Give them a buddy that they can call at any time. Zen probably has better ideas. Wait for her.
Oh, no. I'm loving the fact that you're addressing the change. And I always use the phrase, we're going to the next normal. And I don't think we'll be through this for another 2 or 3 next normals. And what you've just tapped into is what is at the core of global enterprises. And I agree with Karen, assign that new person a mentor and a buddy. And what will come out of this is, I think you've actually discovered there are new ways to operate, and you don't need to be in the office 5 days a week. So already I can see discussions happening about you reframe the policies around your operations and the operations themselves, and you'll actually end up with more effective metrics. And then on the other side of that are all these issues about cutting down carbon emissions, being a green friendly office. I think you've just tapped into some of the most important innovations that can come from this. And again, another conversation is, how do you transition from what you've always relied upon without acknowledging how inefficient it can be, to what can be a new form of efficiency, and how is that managed? And I'll throw in one more term for you, a meeting matrix. And that meeting matrix can be the start point of a whole new approach to operations, including onboarding a new employee.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Austin and Becky, thank you so much for joining us today. It's so fun to have you a part of this conversation. And of course, thank you, Karen Gross and Zen Perry, for your brilliance in sharing it with all of us. Again, I'm Karen Miller with BillingsWorks, and we are excited to come with you next time for another topic on employee engagement through change. In the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy, stay sane, and stay leaning in and engaged with your teams. Bye.